My name is Yuka. I'm 26 years old now, and I'm an office worker at a publishing company. I've been married for almost 3 years now to Kakeru, whom I met after I started working. My husband, Kakeru, is a sole proprietor and a freelance writer by profession. We sometimes have difficulty communicating with each other due to our busy work schedules. And although we sometimes quarreled as a couple, I think we had an ordinary marriage life. One day, when we were having dinner as usual, complaining about work and reporting on our friends' current situations, etc., I heard that Yuka had a baby the other day.
Oh, your classmate in high school, right?
Yeah. I'm 28 already, so we should start thinking about kids soon. There is a limit to the age at which you can have children. It's not uncommon nowadays to have children when you're older, but it will be hard to raise a child when you lose your strength. If there's a chance, I'd have a child, but Kakeru loves children, so I thought it was about time we had a proper talk. However, Kakeru's reaction was not what I had imagined.
Huh? Are you kidding me?
Wait, I thought you liked kids. Now that your job is stable, I thought it might be a good time to think about kids. He suddenly became furious.
Why does it tell me that?
My husband has always had a slightly low boiling point. He always stops talking when he doesn't like something. But it was unusual for him to get so riled up and talk back to me like this. Still, at first I didn't pay that much attention, thinking he just didn't want to talk about children right now. I just thought maybe we could talk about it and decide together. Is there a problem?
Having a baby costs money, you know.
What? Well, that's true. But it's not like we're hurting for money right now, and we have enough money to support a child or two. And I don't plan on quitting my job. I've been with my current company since I graduated, and now I have a bit of a title. So we shouldn't have anything to worry about in terms of money, but…
What is that? You being sarcastic towards me?
What? I didn't mean to be sarcastic. What part of that sounded sarcastic to you?
You're saying I can't raise a kid with my own salary because I make less than you.
That's not what I meant. I want to keep working too. And I think we can have a more comfortable life if we both work.
Don't go on about it. I'm not having kids.
My husband said so and got up from his seat, leaving the food. I was so stunned by my husband's sudden anger that I couldn't move from the spot for a while. Did he feel like I was being sarcastic and pointing out that he earns less than me? But he was negative from the start. Maybe he had some differing thoughts about me talking about having a child. But he was always a person with a low boiling point. But I didn't think he would get that angry. I couldn't fully understand what my husband was thinking, and I went to sleep that day feeling confused. Maybe if we talk about it properly, my husband might understand how I feel. He has a temper, but it was rare for us to fight for over a day. The next morning, I had to leave early for work and was getting ready without seeing my husband. I'm off! I didn't get a reply from my husband, who was probably still sleeping. When I arrived at the office, I got into unexpected trouble and had to work overtime, even though I came early in the morning. It's really busy this time of year, so it's easy to get involved in trouble. Ugh, I can't wait to get home. It was around 10 o'clock in the evening when I came home, exhausted after working long hours. My husband seemed to be in his room, as if he had already eaten and bathed. And then I took a look at the dining room table. What? Is this a divorce paper? The divorce papers have already been filled out by my husband. Even the seal was firmly stamped. All that was needed for it to be submitted was for me to fill in my section. He wants to get a divorce without even discussing it? I didn't dislike my husband. We were just having a conversation yesterday about having children. But I was tired after working overtime. It would have been cute if I cried and said, I don't want a divorce. But unfortunately, I'm not that kind of person. Come to think of it, he said something about his income. I guess he had a lot of complaints that I just didn't know about. I was glad it was before I had kids. I was somewhat optimistic, and I wrote my name, address, etc. on the divorce papers. And then I contacted a close couple who lives nearby, and I decided to visit their house with the divorce papers and my baggage. I'm sorry, I know it's late. We're fine, but what's going on? It's unusual for you to show up on such short notice. Well, looks like I'm getting divorced. What? I explained the situation to my friend and her husband. I didn't even know about the details myself, but... And then the magic was suddenly broken. You might be thinking over this, but... So I'd like you to write your names as witnesses on the divorce papers. I'm gonna go ahead and submit it. Are you sure you want to do this? You haven't talked it over with your husband, have you? Yeah, I'm over it now. Oh, and don't worry. I'm never going to say that you were the witness or anything like that.
That's fine, but if the other party has an inferiority complex about their income, this would have happened sooner or later.
Well, maybe it's a good thing it was before it became a big deal. I don't know. But we're Yuka's friends, so we respect your decision. Both of you, thanks. My friend and her husband were quite surprised, but they signed the form. I apologized for bothering them and went straight to the city hall to submit the papers. When I got home, my husband seemed to remain holed up in his room and didn't make a sound. Divorces can be finalized so suddenly. Strangely enough, I don't feel lonely. It still felt surreal for me. The next morning when I woke up, my husband had already left the house. I think he might have said he was going to work early today. Good timing. Yes, I'm sorry, but I have to move. Yes, I'm taking the day off. Best regards. I felt bad since it was a busy time, but I called my office to tell them I was taking a leave of absence. I contacted a moving company that was available for them to take my stuff on such short notice and had them moved to my parents' house. It was a wonder how I still don't feel any regrets at this point. I don't even know what it's like to have a temper to begin with now that I think about it. I didn't question anything until he put the divorce papers on the table. Love is a strange thing. I rented a monthly apartment near the company and started looking for an apartment while commuting to the company. Then I successfully found the right apartment not far from the company and was able to move there. I decided to change my phone number, and line account. This is the last text. I wanted to avoid having my husband contact me thoroughly. But then my parents called and said that my ex-husband visited my parents' house thinking I was still there. Your ex-husband is here. Oh, sorry to bother you. What did he say? I guess he didn't really think I'd actually submit the divorce papers. Although he came to ask to get back together, my mother was theoretical.
Yuka is in this house, right?
My daughter is already divorced from you. I have nothing to say to a stranger like you. Go home! After saying this, my mother threw salt on him and sent him away. She's always been an emotional parent, but this one time I was saved by her personality. My husband barged into my parents' house, but he never came to my office. This is because most of his work is commissioned by my company. I guess he wouldn't want to cause problems. He wouldn't want to lose his job. I originally met my husband at my current workplace. To be honest, my ex-husband was not a particularly good writer, but I was attracted to him for his hard work. Frankly, I think there are a lot of writers who are as good as my ex-husband without being exceptional in their work. So I'm sure that if he had any problems with our office, he would lose his job immediately. I think my presence may have been a hindrance for my husband in terms of his work. Even after the divorce, I saw my husband at work a few times, but every time I saw him, the clothes he wore got dirtier. I guess he doesn't do his laundry properly. I don't think he bathes much either. When we were still a couple, it was hard for him to do it even when I told him to. When you're alone and you don't have any money, that's what happens. During our marriage, I paid most of the living expenses because I had the higher income, so my husband could spend his salary on clothes and hobbies. But I guess that's not the case anymore. He used to wear pretty fashionable clothes all the time, so the difference was even more noticeable. Anyhow, I wonder why he got angry with you about having a child.
Maybe he thought Yuka would quit her job. I don't think there are still many people who think that having a baby equals wife quitting work. And when Yuka said she wanted to keep working, he might have thought, are you trying to say I'm not worthy?
We don't know what that person is thinking, but I think it was a good decision to break up with him before having kids. Thanks for watching! Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Bye!